Well, hello there, friend. Welcome to the Construction Leadership Podcast, where we help construction executives lead high-performing teams, finish on time and under budget, without all the firefighting and babysitting, so you can lead with focus and control. I am your host, Bradley Hartman. Now, on the last episode, I had my friend Tim Rethlake join me as we were talking about Peter Drucker's seminal article, The Theory of the Business, that I would argue is pound for pound the most valuable and insightful and important business article ever written. Naturally, we found a link between Dr. Peter Drucker and the movie Jaws. We had a blast making it, so if you've not listened to that, I would encourage you to jump back and listen to that episode. However, that is not essential to get this short episode, which is just going to go a little bit deeper on one element of the theory of the business that I thought was worth a little bit more attention. Now, the theory of the business fundamentally comes down to this: is that every one of us, every leader, has a theory of the business, and it's a set of assumptions about how the world works, and therefore the decisions that we make that drive our businesses forward. And there's three main components to that. It is the environment, which defines what an organization is paid for, the society and its structure, the market, customers, and technology. It's also the mission. The mission defines what an organization considers meaningful results, how this organization can make a difference in society to its customers within the existing economy. And the third component is, what are the core competencies? So this defines what an organization must excel at in order to maintain leadership. And what Drucker says is ultimately, this is a hypothesis about the things that are in constant flux: society, markets, customers, technology. And so, built into each one of our theories of the business, we must maintain the ability to change itself. We need to be adaptable. And this is a lens through which we can do that. So you got the environment, your mission, and your core competencies. And what he says is all three of these must be cohesive, understood by everyone in the organization, and tested constantly. When reality changes, does your theory of the business change with it? So the one element that I wanted to dive in just a little bit deeper is that these assumptions about the environment, mission, and core competencies must fit reality. And what I have found is when you have a group of successful leaders who are all working together, there is the risk of groupthink, where everyone is seeing things through the same lens. And if there's not an outside perspective that is strong enough, a group of individuals can start to make believe reality in ways that are not actually true. And he uses this example of Marks and Spencer. He writes, "When four penniless young men from Manchester, England, Simon, Marks, and his three brothers-in-law, decided in the early 1920s that a humdrum penny bazaar should become an agent of social change. World War I had profoundly shaken the country's class structure. It had also created masses of new buyers for good quality, stylish but cheap merchandise like lingerie, blouses, and stockings." Obviously, these are all very female items. And this is because during World War I, obviously the men were out battling on the front. So women stepped up, started working in the factories, were earning their own paychecks, and were going out and shopping on their own, something they traditionally didn't do that much at the time. So lingerie, blouses, and stockings were Marks and Spencer's first successful product categories. If you're wondering how the hell this relates to you at all, it comes right here. Marks and Spencer then systematically set to work developing brand new and unheard of core competencies, because until then, the core competence of a merchant, like them, a seller, retailer, was the ability to buy well. Marks and Spencer decided that it was the merchant themselves, rather than the manufacturer, who knew the customer best. Therefore, the merchant, Marks and Spencer, not the manufacturer, should design the products, develop them, and find producers to make the goods to his design, specifications, and costs. This new definition of a merchant or retailer took 5 to 8 years to develop and make acceptable to traditional suppliers who had always seen themselves as manufacturers, not subcontractors. And I think this is really interesting timing to consider this, where you had a retailer and traditionally the manufacturer says, we know, in this case, what women want. And we go to the retailer and say, listen, your customers want all this stuff. And here's how much each one of these things costs. And Marks and Spencer says, well, here's the thing. We have these locations. We're on the corner of Main and Main. We're seeing all these women come in. You know what we think? We think we know the women better than you. We're going to tell you what they want because we're going to understand, and obviously this phrase didn't exist at that time, the voice of the consumer. And ultimately, this is a question about who knows the needs and fears and pains and opportunities of the customers and prospects the most. And we are seeing this playing out right now with building materials and construction tools, where in many cases you have a manufacturer, you have a distributor, you have a retailer, and then you have the contractor. In some cases, and then you have the subcontractor. So we have this whole supply chain, and many manufacturers are saying, listen, we've done the work. We know what the customers want. And we are going to the retailer and the dealer saying, here's what you need to sell and why. And in some cases that may work. In others, we have the dealers who are saying, we know these folks the best. We are standing up in their children's wedding. We are hunting and fishing with them constantly. We know them the best. But then the question is, are dealers going to these customers, the people building America, and saying, we've talked to them deeply. We've spent a lot of time observing their work. We have ideas that we can push back up the chain to the manufacturer. Is any of that conversation happening? Because whoever can understand the consumer the best, whoever has that closest relationship and is listening the most and is taking a leadership role to make their lives better, faster, more convenient, simpler, that is where the most value is provided. So you'll see in the article under the heading, what are the specifications of a valid theory of the business? And he notes that there are 4. This is the first one. The assumptions about the environment, society, customers, market, technology, its mission, what are we trying to do and why, and what are the core competencies? What do we need to excel at to achieve the mission? All 3 of those must fit reality. And self-deception is something all of us need to be wary of. That's why you want to have strong teams with diverse perspectives that are willing to challenge each other. Ultimately, who is closest to your customers? Is it you or is it someone else in your supply chain? And the farther you are away in reality, in terms of the relationship with your core customer, I would say the more risk you have of being disintermediated. Now, I know if you're a manufacturer or you're a distributor, you're a dealer, you're a GC, or you're a sub, those might mean different things to you. But understanding how these change, and I can guarantee you, especially in 2-step distribution with Home Depot and Lowe's and QXO and all this consolidation that's happening, the theory of the business for organizations in construction are absolutely under attack. The question is, at what speed will these assumptions become invalid? And to what degree do these organizations and leaders like yourself adapt to whatever is coming next? So you can go to the show notes and download the PDF for The Theory of the Business by Dr. Peter Drucker. And if you haven't listened to it, go back and listen to the last episode on the theory of the business and Jaws. That's all I got. We'll close out with our leadership mantra. You, my friend, are owed nothing. Deliver value first.